Hi, my name is Alan Prost, and I've created this short video as an introduction to the legacy project that I've been working on, and as an introduction to Articulate Storyline 360. So I'm going to outline some of the aspects of Articulate and how I'm utilizing that in this project so that I might get some feedback from you as faculty and administrators.
So the purpose of this short video is to engage you as faculty to review, consider, and give us some feedback on the potential of using Articulate to develop course content. So please contact me, send me emails if you have any questions or anything like that. And the big question before us is, should SAIT invest in the developing content using products like Articulate Storyline 360 to expand our content delivery, to expand online delivery, and the different ways that students can interact with their information. So this project's part of the legacy funds from here at SAIT, and it was supported to develop our test of concept using Articulate to try to create interactive tools so that we could get an idea of how difficult this is to both learn as a faculty member and how much resourcing would be required to develop this and bring it into SAIT. So one of the really cool things about Articulate is that it's PowerPoint based. So when you open up the main screen and you start taking a look at that, you're going to see a lot of the similar tools and mechanisms to create the slides that we would normally see with PowerPoint. And in fact, you can even bring in a PowerPoint presentation that you've already created. But what's different is that we have this really intricate scene control that allows more interactivity between the different groups, and we can create things like hotspots over areas. And another big difference is the triggers that we can have so that as the student interacts with these different elements, we can have different actions and responses. So it's quite fascinating, and it is a little bit of, the learning curve is steep, but there's a lot of good resources to help us with that. So a couple of the key elements that are different with Articulate, as you can see out here, is you've got this outline view demonstrating how all the different pieces and scenes are going to interact with each other. And this is a big part of Articulate, is that you can create this different branching mechanism. So as students give you different responses or respond to different elements within the presentation and the different slides, they'll get different outcomes. So it increases this level of interactivity. Now, to do that, you have to learn about all these different types of triggers. And they've got that nicely set up where you can have the change of state and then what's going to happen with different inputs from the students, such as hovering over or clicking on different elements. So you can create this level of interactivity. One of the key things about Articulate is that it has a huge amount of support to help instructors learn about it. And that's one of the things I discovered by going through the process of actually trying to create some of these interactive scenarios, is that they've got a huge amount of different support videos to get you orientated and using some of the different elements. And they have this great online kind of Q&A system where you can ask questions and get responses, but a lot of times you can use and just go onto the web and find the answers to elements you're looking for. I was looking at something for drag and drops to create how you could build certain things, and it was amazing the amount of resources that you could find on the internet very quickly and easily. There are some other software that I did use in my productions, such as the video editing from using an online video editor, such as Cyberlink Power Director, which is very quick and intuitive, but still it's another skill that you need to have. And I also used the Cyberlink screen capturing to do things like I'm doing right now, and Sketchbook for drawing and graphics. That was important. I used Photoshop on occasion, but I found Sketchbook was actually more useful to me to manipulate some of the drawings that you'll be seeing in your presentations.
Hi and welcome to this interactive patience. Today's
So
scenario
there are lots of
reflects
different
the
interesting
emergence
ways to create interactivity within Articulate. And just a couple of examples here, you can see how you're clicking on different items. And I did like using the avatar to have introductions and speaking different information so that the students challenged to listen as well as just to have an audio feedback. So I'm just demonstrating here a couple of the different interactivities. Here I'm just showing the chest x-ray and some of the other navigation tools. This is a quick demonstration of the interactivity. You can see as the mouse is moving over different parts, there's different information popping up so they can see it, and you can just click on those. Here's an example of watching the patient breathing. It's pretty crude graphics, but I think it's clear what we're trying to demonstrate rather than being artistically beautiful. This is interesting in that the student can actually auscultate over different areas of the chest. I thought this was an important interactivity, and you can adjust those sounds to demonstrate things like wheezes and crackles. Here we're transitioning into some of the ways you can develop interactivity, such as with the flow meter here. You can adjust the element of flow, the patient can see that, deliver the different oxygen therapy, and get feedback on whether they made a right decision or not. And so if they don't set it up correctly, you can redirect them back to readjust that and then to set it up correctly. Give them feedback on their correct choices. In this example, they're getting proper saturations, and then I can evaluate the patient's compliance with that and see the new respiratory rate and heart rate on the oxygen therapy, for example. Here they're setting up the cold neb, and you can see you can adjust the FiO2 on the cold neb, and if you don't set it up correctly, it gives get feedback, and when you set it up appropriately, you can develop in your scenario where you can give the students some feedback on their correct choices. Here I'm just demonstrating another way to show interactivity with patient assessment and getting information and being able to click on elements to direct you to doing ventilator management, for example, which I'm showing here. Here you can select the mode and then all the elements for the ventilator to make sure that it's set up correctly for the patient and make adjustments with blood gases and other information that comes available. So as you can see, by turning the dials, you're altering the input that the student has, so you can adjust things like the FiO2, the respiratory rate, the TI, for example, all the elements on a ventilator, and then go back and see if you've got them set up for the patient. You give them information about the blood gases, and so that they have to make adjustments on the ventilator, and then give them feedback as to whether or not those are correct. With Articulate, you can develop interactivity in lots of different ways. The limiting factor is only your imagination. Once you learn some of the basic tools, such as this, like the rollover to give information back, you can even have them do things like assemble equipment from parts so that they can get that feedback on whether they understand the concepts. Articulate has a lot of different tools to help instructors build this kind of simple interaction. And this demonstration that I'm showing here literally took me 10 minutes to build once I understood how the different tools work. So the point of this short video was to get some feedback from you as educators and administrators. And we've got a lot of really basic questions that need to be answered. Is this the type of content that makes an effective learning tool for our students? So you got to consider that. Is it worth the investment of time of learning it and investing the time to build this content? Should we as SAIT invest in developing the content and spend time having instructors learn and become experts in this? What are some of the roadblocks that you might consider that may inhibit your development, such as your time commitments and the commitment to a learning curve of learning software like this, where you're really a content expert, many of us. So we need your input to these really important questions about how and why and if we should be pursuing this kind of software development, and if that's going to be useful to your students and courses. Well, thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to briefly introduce Articulate 360, and I hope you'll take the time to review some of the scenarios that I've developed and give us some feedback on that. So thank you very much.